Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades, friends, people I don't like. It's the Center Podcast. I'm your host, DjPinHD. Yo, I was at the gym getting my swole on. You know what I'm saying? Getting my pump in. It. Believe it or not, it's getting a little bit better. It was just mostly fat, but now it's getting there. Yo, I came across this interview with Higher Learning. It's Van Lathan's podcast. Didn't know he had a podcast. Totally subscribed to it immediately. Super love Van Lathan. I would call him the conservative Negro whisperer, especially after what he did to Kanye, smacking his ass back into reality before Kanye officially trailed off into Crazy Town. Well, he interviews Larry Elder. Off the rails interview. He has a co-host, Rachel Lindsay, who doesn't get a fucking word in because Larry Elder spends the entirety of the time filibustering. And I'm gonna be honest with you, after the Breakfast Club interview, I don't even think Larry Elder has much respect for women in the first place. I don't. I mean, his whole demeanor toward Tesla and Figaro was gross. You know what I'm saying? He just, when black women talk to him, he just don't feel like he gotta listen. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a huge fan. Point I'm trying to make is Larry Elder filibusters all the questions. And the last question we'll go over is most telling. Most telling. Black conservatives don't have a pro-black agenda other than, hey, we should shut up and just pull our own fucking weight. And while a small portion of that has truth to it, we should pull our own weight. It ain't just because we should shut up in the face of white supremacy, educational disparities, health disparities. The black conservative lives in a world where they believe we don't have to, we've already gone to the promised land, gone beyond it. We have representation, people, black faces in high places. What are we complaining about? And they always refute him, Thomas Sowell, and people like him who assume that we don't read Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell, all these conservative speaking talking heads just always assume that there hasn't been black folks who just say, you know what, I'm just gonna put my nose to the grindstone and work. They always just think, it's just the culture's fault. We just lazy. We ain't never did nothing to fix the culture. You've never done nothing to fix the culture. No, you haven't. You think by living out your life in a representative way that black people should just follow your example and that is enough. That is not enough. And that's what Van and Rachel are trying to convey, but Larry can't receive it. He won't receive it. I mean, honestly. So let's start with the beginning.
And systemic racism are two very different things. Where, in your opinion, can a black person not succeed in America today because he's black?
Okay, so let's go back to the root of it. Let's go back to the root of it. So what I'm asking you is, if there is not systemic racism, how does Larry Elder explain those disparities?
Tell me what disparity you're talking about.
Will it be home ownership, black maternal mortality, whether it be wealth?
Let's talk
education. If not for systemic racism, how do you explain those disparities?
Let's talk about home ownership. Mm-hmm. If the argument is that people who have less money are less likely to own homes than people who have more money, then you're right. There's also a great deal of white poverty, more poor white people in America than there are poor black people. But if you're telling me that a black person with a given...
There's a greater raw number. There's a greater raw number because white people outnumber black people in America by a large degree. If we're talking about a percentage or proportionate number of people who are low income, then obviously we both know that that's not true. So when you say that there are more poor white people in America than there are more poor black people, then we only make up 13% of the population. But if we're talking about numbers and percentages, and whether it be in unemployment, whether it be in poverty, black people disproportionately represent those numbers. If the playing field is completely equal and all the opportunity is there for everyone, I'm simply asking you, why aren't we doing as well as our white counterparts?
Why aren't we doing as well as our white counterparts? Because white people haven't stood still. Black people come out of slavery at the end of the Civil War. White people were ahead. White people are ahead right now. The only way for black people to, quote, catch up is for white people to stand still. They're not standing still. But are black people making progress? Hell yes. 1940, 87% of black people lived under the poverty line. 20 years later, 1960, that number had fallen to 47. That's a 40-point drop in 20 years. That is, by the way, the greatest 20-year period of economic expansion in the history of Black America. Now, why did that happen? Because it was rare in 1940 for a black kid to be raised without a father in the home, married to the mother. Only 17% of black kids fit that category. Today, it's almost 70% of black kids entering the world without a father in the home, married to the mother. That accounts for far more of the disparity than any kind of racial incident or racial analysis that you want to put forth.
Real simple. Mass incarceration. Now, Van's going to attempt to touch on this. Van's going to attempt to answer the question. But for those of us who are well aware, it is quite simple. From 1940 all the way up to about the 70s or so, we had a constant attack on our community from the criminal justice system. Everything from vagrancy laws that were left over to not being able to get a job, being forced to go out there and hustle on different types of ways, like drugs, pimping, all this other stuff in our community that just degraded the culture. Now, Van's going to attempt to touch on this, and Larry will never approach the subject. And this is the problem with black conservatives. They never want to talk about what the real root cause has always been, what we've seen growing up as children. I was born in 84. It was still a problem in the 90s. And in fact, you've had an escalation of mass incarceration from the 80s on up to now. So what is the excuse? It's not like we didn't see it back then. It's not like we didn't know we were getting arrested back then. And you can't just continuously say that. We have 60 years of us just not wanting to do the right thing. That is absolutely not true. And if you're in our communities, you know this. You don't need to listen to a conservative talking head to give you an answer on this. All you got to do is go talk to your mama or your daddy or your uncle or your grandma. Or because none of these conservative talking points they talk about.
That's what the problem is. We began doing very well until the so-called war on poverty in the mid-'60s. Lyndon Johnson launched it, I believe, with the best of intentions. But since then, we've incentivized women to marry the government. We've incentivized men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. Numbers of black people entering the world without a father in the home has now been almost triple from what it was in the mid-'60s. And by the way, it's also true
because the rate of incarceration for black fathers has gone up.
Among white households, it's almost tripled since it was in the mid-'60s. You give people an incentive to behave in a certain kind of way where they become dependent upon government, you're going to have more of that kind of behavior. So the policies that many people have pursued have hurt black people in the last several generations.
Larry, according to that example that you just gave about white people not staying still and black people having to basically catch up, if that's the case, according to your example, we'll never catch up.
Well, collectively, probably not. But individually, can individuals do well? Of course. If you go to school, don't have a kid before you're 20 years old, get married first, get a job.
So he admits it. No. Based on the way the history was set up back then, no, we'll probably never catch up. But we will have individuals who step out and actually do a good thing. Now, I know how some people can look at that argument and say, oh, okay. But if you are within this community and you know the systemic issues that are stacked against you, you can see why that's a problem. You can see why they're bringing it up in the first place. There are old Jim Crow laws that black people still can deal with today, still have to deal with in some instances today. Like the home appraisals issue. These things are everywhere. These are things that black people talk about regularly and that we know exist. We don't need Larry Elder's validation. Allow me to enlighten you. NPR reports. Black couple settles lawsuit claiming their home appraisal was lowballed due to bias. Let's hit it again. Home appraised with a black owner, $472,000. With a white owner, $750,000. We can do it again. Come on. I got this all day. Local report in Maryland, WMAR 2 News. Justice Department takes interest in lawsuit accusing an appraiser of undervaluing homes based on race. Black couple's home appraised nearly $300,000 less than actually valued. We don't need Larry Elder to validate this for us. We know this to be fact in our community. I don't even have to argue with you. And in fact, I'd argue if you're going to fight with me over this, I have nothing to say. Truly. Truly.
Excuse me?
No, go ahead. Finish. We're listening to you.
Is there a problem?
No.
Just keep going.
No, Larry,
Keep
we're
going.
listening to you. Go for it.
Yo,
Get your
black
shut
conservatives love to fight.
According to the
they
Brookings
sweat
Institution,
so
which
right.
is a left-wing think tank, they've got something, a millennial success sequence. Finish school. Don't have a kid before you're 20. Get married first. Get a job. Keep a job. Don't quit it till you get another job.
Rachel,
Avoid the criminal justice system. You will not be poor. If you don't.
I did all that. I'm still poor. In fact, I'd argue my friends who did all that plus went to school and got a degree are still poor. 60 some odd percent of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They did what you said to do, Larry. They did all that stuff. They still poor, Larry. We have archaic racist laws in place that you never want to acknowledge. We're doing those things, Larry. This is why black people can't talk to y'all.
Don't follow that formula, there's a very good chance you will be poor. Why is that so shocking, Rachel?
No, she's not. I don't think she's shocked. Larry, I know you want to fight, but
Yeah,
like
he
for
did.
us, like
Some wanna
because
fight.
listen,
No, you don't know what I want to fight. I'm answering your question. You're proceeding.
Larry,
I'm answering your
brother,
question.
and we all brothers.
I'm answering your question. You're proceeding it.
Right. But
Get him, man,
just
get him, man.
We're trying to understand you. So, okay, cool. So we disagree about some of the numbers and the things that you've thrown out. Okay,
What number do you disagree with? What have
so
I said that you?
I disagree with the fact. I disagree with the fact that the Democrats or Lyndon B. Johnson said, "Hey, we're going to incentivize poverty," and black people just went, "We don't want our families anymore."
Correct.
And not only do I disagree.
Is that what I said? He said.
Well,
We didn't say that, bro.
I said with the best of intentions.
With the
Lyndon
best of
Johnson
intentions,
went
right?
on what we
With the
call a war on poverty.
best of intentions.
To me, there wasn't no best of intentions. Back then, when the country was deeply racist, I'm almost positive somebody like Lyndon Baines Johnson did what he could to appease the civil unrest while trying to shut up the racist Republicans that were trying to enact serious degrading policy into our culture, like the poison pills from the Civil Rights Act.
He tried to help, and then we said, okay, well, since the government's going to be our dad, then we don't want our dads in the homes anymore. We don't want a family anymore. I disagree with that, okay? And so this is what I believe.
Did I say black people don't want a family?
No, you just try to not acknowledge the fact that the criminal justice system was working overtime against us. Moving on.
Need to have a conversation about some of the expectations that we should be having amongst each others in our community. But I think the problem is that you do these things in a vacuum without acknowledging like really obvious realities about the black experience. And I'm just wondering why you do that.
Well, I disagree with virtually everything you just now said. That's why I do that. As I said before, 1940, 87% of blacks lived under the poverty line. This is before the Civil Rights Act of 64, before Brown versus Board of Education. KKK was still alive and well. Next 20 years, poverty fell almost 40 points. The greatest 20-year period of economic expansion in America, in history for Black America. Why? Because of a belief in Judeo-Christian values, a belief in patriotism, even as those values were not being applied fairly to black people, a belief in the nuclear intact family, and a belief in entrepreneurship. All those things are right now under assault by organizations like Black Lives Matter.
The sense of patriotism that he's talking about was broken after World War II because they lynched our grandfathers and our uncles. That's a fact. And that's not me trying to hold on to some terrible history. That's what happened. We went and we served this country. They lynched our brothers and our uncles and our grandfathers and our fathers anyway, because they said that black people shouldn't even be wearing that uniform. And then the family structure started to break down again. And then on top of all of that, you see the over policing of black communities and the whole just the community just shuffled into the mass incarceration system. You're not gonna lie on us, Larry. I'm not letting it happen.
May I finish? I didn't cut you off.
You have it, Larry.
All the things that I just now mentioned are under assault by organizations like Black Lives Matter, which on their website criticize the nuclear intact family. By definition, they don't support entrepreneurship because they are self-described trained Marxists. Marxist was not somebody who believed in capitalism. And Marx also wanted to, quote, dethrone God. So the very principles that black people following things like slavery and the Great Depression are now under assault right now by people on the left. And I would dare say by people like you.
Oh, fine. I accept that. Look.
Where we'll all accept that. Nobody gives a damn what black conservatives think for real anyway. At least no black people care. White people love y'all. Black people don't typically care about what y'all talking about. Fact of the matter is, family was the only thing that black people were primarily focused on, because we had our family split up for decades. So all you saw throughout the 1920s, 30s, and 40s is black people still looking for their family members because of slavery and racism. Moving on. This dude ain't nothing but a coon raccooning.
A young civil rights lawyer named Barack Obama filed a class action lawsuit against Citigroup, joining other lawyers, arguing that 186 of black people who applied for mortgages at Citigroup were not getting them because they were black. Citigroup says, no, you're not getting them because you're not creditworthy. We want to make sure that if we loan people money, we get the money back plus interest, which is how we make profits as running a bank. But because of the lawsuit, Citigroup said, okay, gave the loans to 186 black people. Fast forward several years later, virtually every single one of them failed to keep his or her home because they were not able to make the payments, which shows you that they were not being discriminated against. Their credit score and record was not sufficient to qualify them for a mortgage. So it didn't help them. In fact, it made them worse off. It is simply not true that creditworthy black borrowers are being denied loans just because they're black. It is simply flat out not true. It is widely believed, but it's not true.
Well, according to the Brookings Institute that you
An institute he supports.
Cited earlier on, it actually is true.
Cites.
Because right here, when I'm looking at it in plain black and white, it says that credit worthiness, like there's studies on this, actual studies all over the place. Once again, it takes very,
Yes.
the Washington Post did a study. I have a study right now from the Brookings Institute. And
he has the Brookings Institute.
Even in instances right here, this is their study. I can send it to you later. There's nothing I'm telling you right now that I can't make available to you. Like even right here, it says even in instances where there is comparable credit worthiness, you still see in raw studies black people not having access to home loans at the same rate of white people. So whatever you're talking about right now with the young lawyer Barack Obama, I like him too. I'm telling you right now that the things that you're saying, they have been studied and they have been looked at, and the data on it, Larry, the actual data, not Van Lathan, not as smart as Larry Elder, the data on it, like refutes what you're saying. And what I'm asking you is,
not only that, we feel it on a real level. Stop trying to discount the actual thing that's happening in front of our face. And people like Larry Elder always love to say, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing right now, that's not real. That's not really what's happening. If you look at it this way, it's not happening the way that you know it to be happening. You experiencing it.
If there's data right here, this is from Brookings Institute right now. It's on my computer. I've heard this spiel before. I'm looking at it right now. If you would tell me that Brookings says something, hey Van, you believe them, they're left-leaning. Fine, you use it. I'm looking at it right now. Why won't you believe this? Like what is it about the allegiance to your narrative? What is it about the allegiance to your narrative that stops you from wanting to look at facts as they are directly in your face? I don't understand.
I suggest you read work by Walter Williams, read works by Thomas Sowell.
What makes you think I haven't read Sowell? What makes you think I haven't read?
Yo, they love bringing up Thomas Sowell. And the reason why Thomas Sowell has been in economics for 50 plus years and no black people have picked up on Thomas Sowell the way that black conservatives love to is because every time we read him, we always notice that he leaves out the entirety of white domestic terrorism from the 20s to now. They never acknowledge it. For them, it's, well, my dad said I can get ahead no matter whether I'm black or not. My dad said that. And your dad didn't experience every single thing that black people experienced in America. The majority of us are telling us that, yes, people like your dad can be the exception. But we have to work harder towards getting the goals we need as a group and as a community. We need solidarity. We need more solidarity. And your dad said, fuck that. I'm just going to do it how I need to because I don't care. I don't care about my community. My community does this. I don't like them for that. I mean, all of this that Larry Elder talks about comes from his own contempt for his people. Like, it is what it is. I've accepted that these Negroes are a lost cause.
Read him.
Well,
my man Killer Mike. Shout out to Killer Mike. My man Killer Mike got me on Thomas Sowell. What makes you think I haven't read it?
Well, apparently you don't believe what he's saying because he's saying the opposite of what you're just now saying.
There are things that many prominent authors who are extremely smart say that I don't believe in what they're saying. I'm sure Larry has written a book. I probably won't agree with 90% of it. Just because you read the book and it was Thomas Sowell of all people, don't mean that I got to agree with it.
She's not true.
I don't think I've read books, but I don't think it's a Bible.
If you look at community banks, those that are owned by black people in the community, they are more likely to turn down people who apply for loans than the non-community banks. So why would that be the case?
You know why? It's because they're not properly capitalized. They're not properly capitalized. So
I love you for this, man.
They can't afford to take a risk on somebody who's not.
I love you for this, man.
I'm gonna pull a Larry Elder on you. Hold on. I'm gonna pull a Larry Elder on you. I'm gonna answer let me answer the question. That's a great question. And to anybody that's listening to this, what Larry just said is true. Community banks that you would say are from the community owned by black people, they are a little bit more stingy with loans. It's because they have less access to capital. So people defaulting on those loans from those banks could actually send those banks into receivership or destroy them. And what I'm telling you is,
banks don't lend money to people who are not creditworthy.
So when I'm telling you is,
also an Asian would be borrower for a mortgage. You're more likely to have your application accepted than a white person.
So when I'm telling you,
against white people,
and I don't want to cut racial out of this, so I'm sorry. But what I'm telling you right now is even the fact that black banks, which by the way have been destroyed over the past 40 or 50 years when we're apparently accumulating all of this wealth, you're going down from like a minuscule amount of black banks now. What I'm telling you right now is, Larry, even the fact that those banks have less access to capital, even the fact that those banks have less access to capital is another function of the disparities in wealth between black people and white people. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to let Rachel jump in. Rachel.
Wait, what was it that you're about to say? Because I guess I get a little... Go ahead.
Let's get our dear sister going.
Is it Save America? What I want to say it right. What's your campaign?
Larry ain't got
we have a country to save is my slogan.
We have a country to save. And you're talking about fatherlessness and that there's this epidemic in the black community of fatherlessness. And excuse me if I've missed it, but to date, what have you done to combat fatherlessness in the black community?
For a watch.
Okay, so you're accepting that we have an issue with fatherlessness in the black community. You're accepting that, I assume.
Actually don't. But
I'm not. You said that.
I didn't think so. So you're not accepting it, and you're asking me, what am I doing about something that you don't accept?
No.
Yes, I don't accept the fact that you think that all of this is black people's fault. Yet I do want to give you an opportunity to speak up on it. I want to know, why do you think what you think, Larry? I believe that you are going to filibuster because you have not done anything for the community, because you don't like the community. You don't appreciate the culture. You don't love your own people. I believe in this. I could be wrong. Larry has a deep self-hatred for his own people and culture that he has not grappled with yet. Opinion.
My
Larry, answer the damn
my question is clear as day. You say that it exists. You say that this exists. I'm acknowledging.
I want to know, Larry.
I'm acknowledging your statement.
You just said you weren't acknowledging it, so now you're
No,
acknowledging
I said I don't
care if
agree
she
with it.
acknowledges
I'm
it or not. I wanna hear
acknowledging
your
what
answer,
you have
Larry.
said.
What's your
You
answer?
said that there's this epidemic. So the question
you
just
don't-
is, what
so you
have
don't-
you
you don't
done?
agree that there is. I just want to understand what the question is, Rachel. So you don't
The
agree that there's
question
an
is,
epidemic
I'll say it.
But you want to know what Larry Elder would do about something that you don't
Larry,
think exists.
I'm not going
Right?
back. I'm asking you a very clear question, not even long-winded.
clear.
The question
not even
is,
clear.
what have you done?
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's crystal clear,
what have
bro.
you
It's
done?
crystal
What
clear.
have I done to address a problem that you don't think exists?
Do you not want to answer? You don't have to answer, because I think that's the answer. Is that have you not done anything to combat fatherlessness?
You just now acknowledged, in your opinion, that what I just now said isn't even a problem.
It's
and
a
now you're
clear.
asking me.
What
now
have
you're
you done?
asking-
Have you done
how do I
anything?
address a problem that you don't think is a
Larry,
problem?
we gotta go.
Larry,
Hold on.
I'll take that as a
Yeah,
no.
'cause we don't got time for this.
Larry, we
Like,
gotta
No,
go.
that's not
No,
even a
you
simple
know,
question.
Larry, tell him where to go. Larry Elder.com. No, we gotta go, Larry. You know, we can't do that now. You gotta at least. That's the woman in the house. You gotta at least. I'm not.
Fatherlessness, and now you want me to do to answer.
no,
what
Larry.
It's your campaign, Larry. Larry, this is your campaign. Your campaign is about fatherlessness. I'm giving you the floor to talk about how you have combat fatherlessness because you say it is such an issue in this country and you don't want to answer the question.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here. That's Larry Elder, guys. LarryElder.com. He's got a lot of other things. He actually says a couple of things on.
oh my God, yo. Yo, listen, that's the energy. That's the energy. Sorry, but that's the energy. At that I love Van Lathan. This man doesn't play with these conservative Negroes. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Get out of here with that bougie ass, boule ass. You're not gonna answer the question. Fine. What did he say? Oh my God.
I'm giving you the floor to talk about how you have combat fatherlessness because you say it is such an issue in this country and you don't want to answer the question.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here. That's Larry Elder, guys.
That's right. And just call it for what it is. That's Larry Elder. He ain't gonna talk about how he gonna help solve the black issues. He's gonna complain. He's gonna do the things that he blames black folk for. I'ma complain about the issues because we need to fix this. Just like him and John McWhorter, they ain't never gonna go down there and ask the young brother, "What you doing? Why you doing this for? What can we do? How can we get involved?" No, they're gonna complain and blame it on the culture because they don't even want to touch it. I'm going to put the link in the description. I'll let you check it out for yourself. Guys, we are pushing on 150 subscribers. Help me get to 250. I love you guys. I love you. I appreciate you for subscribing. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I'm done with I'll be honest with you. I don't think I'll do another Larry Elder video. After him and the Breakfast Club interview, I'm straight. I ain't got no energy for any of these black folks that don't got a beating heart for pushing the line. If all y'all want to do is talk about how we need more police and how we need to take care of the nuclear family, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know many brothers who don't take care of their family. I don't. If you watch the whole video, Van, he shoots out statistics from the CDC. Most of these black fathers are taking care of their kids. It's an issue, but it's becoming less and less of an issue because most of us are doing what Larry's talking about, which is staying out of jail, finishing high school, not having kids before 20. And I still got 100 white brothers that have just high school degrees or dropouts that's still making more money than most black people I know with a degree. That is real. Much love. I gotta go to work. I just had to stop and do this because this dude is a clown and a coon. Period. Just licking the boot. 100, y'all. Woo!